Welcome to the Literally First Class podcast, where I will teach you how to overcome anxiety and achieve somatic success. I'm your host, Keri Ford. I'm a somatic success and holistic life coach here to bring humor, insight, and wisdom to the modern day woman that wants to feel alive in her daily life. You ready? Come on, I saved you a seat in first class.
Fear of success. Is that a real thing? I think it is. Here's why. I see so many women discount themselves from the bigness of their dreams. And I know this because I did it. I talked myself out of the dreams I had because I thought they were too big. I was being unrealistic because everyone was telling me this. Keri, you got your head up in the clouds. This is not realistic. Must be nice to just sit and daydream about it, but that'll never happen. Why can't you just be normal and do the 9-to-5 thing? You always make it so hard on yourself. And I would discount my dreams. I would talk myself out of the very fucking thing that I wanted. I remember the pain of that so clearly in my body and in the season of life I was in. I felt like a complete failure. I felt disappointed and sad. And I also felt confused because I thought, my gosh, why do I feel so called that this is my life purpose, that this is the thing I am meant to do, and I feel so aligned, and it's not working. It's just not fucking working. What am I doing wrong? What piece of the puzzle don't I have? What strategy plan thing do I need to download and research to figure it out? And it was actually none of the strategies and none of the plans, because at the time, this was before I invested in my first coach, at the time, I was doing the research. I was looking at what are other people doing? How are they succeeding at this? Doing this whole online coaching thing. And I was writing ebooks. I was putting up the webpage. I was producing all this content, and nothing was happening. I think I made $35,000 the first year I was doing that. And then it actually went down the second year, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, it was obviously not enough money to do anything with. And this was years ago. This was this is at least 10 years ago. And I was like, fuck, what am I doing wrong? What else can I do? And the doing part, I'll tell you, really was never an issue for me. And that's why it was so frustrating, because I was like, okay, let's be logical here. I'm smart. I feel like I'm an intelligent person. I'm willing to figure things out. I work hard. I'm motivated. I feel aligned. This feels right. So what's missing? Why can I not seem to really create the life that I want to live and have an actual living? And so I just remember feeling massively disappointed and crying to my mom that I failed. I have failed. And I closed that business and I went back to corporate. I did some consulting for a bit. And I just thought, man, this is hard. And so if you have been a woman that's, given up on your dreams and talked yourself out of them, I want you to perk up your ears and tune in, especially if you're in a partnership. I actually had a fear of success because I was busy being busy, which made me feel like I was being productive, but I call that playing entrepreneur, that season of my life. I was playing entrepreneur and I was doing a really good job. So it felt like I was doing all the right things. I was producing things, I was posting about stuff, but at the core of my being, I would be lying if I didn't mention that it felt like a post and hope situation. Hope people buy this, or is this gonna work? That was my energy. It was very tepid. My body it would hesitate. I would kind of go all in, but I would just kind of post it and hope that people would come by the droves to buy those ebooks or the tank tops that I had at the time. And so that was really an interesting but also frustrating season. Now, I don't think if I had had a certain level of success that I would have been able to hold and keep it at that level. I think I would have been busy being busy and somehow maxed out my time in fear that I wasn't doing enough, right? And so I had to renegotiate some of that in my body before I was able to handle the level of success that I have now, right? The types of contracts that not only I have with clients, but also I help them with. I mean, we have a client that literally just has verbal funding for investments in the millions, $9 million to be exact. And about $5.5 million of that has been wired to her thus far. And let me tell you, like, it takes some inner work and some nervous system renegotiation to have the capacity to handle that kind of big money. It really does. And I don't think, I can confidently say actually, I don't think that I would be able to hold space for a client like that and help her do the same in terms of how she's showing up had I not done this work on myself. Like, I don't think that would be possible. And so when you're talking about that kind of money and you're talking about the level of dreams, like when I rented the island with an ex-business partner, I mean, those are some big moves, right? And women will discount themselves and they will give up on their dreams, and they'll do it when they're in partnership too. And here's why. Like, actually, one of the biggest fears across the board that I have found with some of the women I have worked with or that want to potentially work with me is that they're scared to outgrow their partner. And so then they don't do the work at all. They don't listen to their soul's calling to the bigness of their dreams, desires, and the visibility it requires because they are so scared they're going to outgrow their partner. And that's not always the case. Like, usually they'll come to me within two different camps. Like, the first one is they're seeking something else because they know that they're made for more. They know that there's something else that's calling to them. They might not have clarity on what that looks like, but they're also seeking some validation around, like, knowing that on some level they have already outgrown that partnership. Like, that person is potentially holding them back, right, from being who they really are at their fullest expression. And then there are those that want to do the work for the partnership, that know there's more possibility and more depth and intimacy and connection available, not only within themselves, but for the partnership and with each other. And those are the women that tend to make the investment and go all in on coaching, more so than the women that are scared about if they're going to have to give up the partnership, even though on some level I think they know that. And so it does hold women back from going all in on their big dreams. They're scared that if they become so big that they will have to let go of the partnership. In some cases, they have, and they do. And, I'm not here to decide for them or tell them which way it's going to go, to prophesize that. But I can say that they oftentimes pull away and are scared to go all in with the coaching and the level of transformation that they get to experience in these deeper containers because of the fear of what could happen as a result. So yes, it might be a step in the direction of everything they ultimately want, their dreams, their bigness, these higher levels of visibility. But, what happens in the process is we let go of the younger previous versions of ourselves. And sometimes as a result, the people that we have in our life. And that's really hard. And it holds some people back because it can change the dynamic in the relationship. But for the man that is really ready for his initiation, it'll actually magnetize him to you more. And I wrote a post about this recently, which a lot of people, resonated with. And if anything, Jake, for example, has called me to my literal edge over and over again, which is a different kind of scary. You're like, wait a minute, you like it when I wear my hair curly? Like, oh, you want me to be authentic in my speaking my desires, and you actually are interested and you're hearing my needs and wants? Like, this is new for me and interesting, or at least it was in the beginning, right? Like, we obviously still practice and embody that together, but it's hard. It is hard for people that don't have that in their current relationship, and they desire that depth. They desire it within themselves and they desire it within the partnership. And so I do see the fear of success holding some women back, especially in a partnership that potentially came to fruition based on a previous version of themselves. And so the question becomes, well, what if I pursue this big dream and what if I am successful at it? And what if it's amazing and everything I want, but what if he doesn't do the work? Or what if he doesn't really like who I actually am? Or what if my tastes change? But you will change. You will evolve, right? And that will be something that potentially you're at a crossroad with. I see plenty of relationships, though, and plenty of male partners or female partners, depending on everything. But I see plenty of partners choose into this work after they see what's possible for their partner. It's an invitation into an initiation for you both individually, but also collectively as a partnership, as a pair. And many times they just aren't sure where to start or what that looks like or how to begin. And so I'll get the question like, well, how do I make my partner do the work? And the short answer is you can't. You can't make your partner do the work, but you can inspire them. You can lean into vulnerability and intimacy and connection, and they likely will mirror you. And you're going to notice that as you shift and as you transform, and this happens to every single one of my clients, always, like without a doubt, people start noticing the shift. They're like, there's something different about you. Like, are you working out more? Did you get a different haircut? Like, I don't know what it is, but there's something about you that feels different. And you're like, yeah, I'm more fucking me than I've ever been. We're stripping away all the stuff that I've accumulated, the programming, the conditioning, all the things that I've been actively unlearning. And now you're actually seeing me radiate for who I am, like my essence. And it's so freeing, and it's such a moment of celebration for clients when that happens. We've also had people, come up to me in DMs or get on calls with me, potential clients or people that did become clients, and they're like, I have seen your work. And they're like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like, I have literally seen your work. I have seen the shift in this client that you've worked with. And like, she came back from this retreat, or she has come away from this coaching program, and like, she is different, but I can see her. They're like, does that make sense? Like, am I making sense? And I'm like, yeah, I totally know what you're saying. I totally got you. And it's because they're seeing more of the aliveness in them. They're seeing more of her embodied wisdom, her authentic truth, her soul's aliveness and purpose. And like, that has a certain energy and magnetism and attractiveness to it. So if it's not working now with your partner, if you become more of yourself, it's likely not going to work really well, right? Because it's going to require you to cut yourself down, to put yourself in smaller boxes, to shrink, to mold, to be a chameleon, to try to appease. And if you're already coming at it from that strategy and that's not working, they're likely not going to be with you when you do become more of yourself. Like, that's just part of that natural transformation. But there are so many women that I do see and I do support where the partner is not doing, quote unquote, the inner work yet. And they're having better sex. They're having deeper conversations. They have more intimacy than they've ever had before. And I'm talking, they've had 2 decades plus of marriage, and they've never been here. And they feel this like excitement of reigniting their connection and sparking this newfound level of intimacy. And that's fun, right? And so I see the partner accept the invitation for this new initiation, for this newfound awareness and love, because on some level they desire it too. And they massively support their woman. And so sometimes it's not a matter of whether or not they'll do the work. It's just a matter of them witnessing you doing it. Sometimes you go first. So I do think fear of success can be a very real fear. That is something where a woman who is in a potentially codependent relationship, like, the thing that scares her the most is the invitation into transformation. Because on the back end of that, the question that lingers is, what is it going to require me to give up in order to become her? Maybe everything, and yet nothing in truth that was ever really yours because you weren't fully you when you had it. Does that make sense? So the more authentic and the more self-expressed that you become, the more that you attract everything that is you because it is in truth aligned to you. It was only then, after I had done probably 2 years of deep transformational work, that I met Jake and met him in the same space. There's actually a quote, I may have shared it here before, I share it often, and the quote is, "A woman's heart should be so buried deeply within God's that a man should seek God to find her." And use love if God doesn't resonate, but truth, love, universe, whatever, that is only ever where we meet. That is the only reason why I was ready to receive this level of love, to handle doing conscious partnership together. Because I remember having this conscious moment where I thought, I've done the healing that I can do on my own, and I'm ready to take this to the next level in a conscious partnership. And a conscious partnership is just essentially an agreement that says we're both committed to doing the personal work individually and together. We're also making an agreement that we're okay with doing it differently than what quote unquote looks normal, because we're also breaking through a lot of blueprints and things that have been generationally passed down but aren't necessarily aligned. So that requires a certain level of work and healing and unlearning and unbecoming in order to hold that, so that you don't self-sabotage that, so you can hear the truth even when you're in conflict, right? So yeah, I wouldn't have been ready had I not done the work to receive that. Now, I know one couple specifically, I was in a mastermind with them, and this was a pretty incredible story. I think they've been married for at least 25 years, if not more. They've got 2 daughters, and one of them started to go through this awakening process of like, I know I'm meant for more. Like, I'm feeling this like hunger to heal, and my soul is calling me to something. I don't know what. And they had a moment with each other. I forget which one said it to the other, but it was just like, either you're in or I got to go do this for me. Like, we are at a crossroads here. Like, so either we're doing this together and I want that, or I got to go. Like, and that's it. Like, I'm called to this, and we got to do something different. And the partner said, I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm scared, but I'm in, because I want whatever that is, and I want to do it together. And it was like completely intrinsically motivated. And so it's possible. It is like, I don't want growth and transformation to scare you, because you can grow with your partner. Even if that one partner is doing quote unquote the work, they might be doing it in their own way. It might look a little bit different. It might require a lot of extra communication, a lot of ways to express effectively, lovingly, and consciously, but it is possible. It is possible to evolve with your partner other than to out-evolve them. And so don't let that be the thing that talks you out of the very thing that you want, the big dream on your heart. Again, I remember so many of those moments in my first go around of being an entrepreneur, because it will bring you to your edges. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can really experience any upper level limit and that be your experience. But I just thought, man, is this dream even for me? Like, why would I have this dream if it wasn't meant for me? Like, and I just thought, maybe it's just not for me in this lifetime. But man, that's also confusing, because I really felt like this is the thing. So I want to encourage you to keep going. I want you to invite your partner into the work. And I want you to know that you can't make them choose it, but you can inspire them by being the one that might go first. So if you find yourself in that season of a committed partnership and you're not really sure if the partnership is for you anymore, or you're meant for something bigger, but you're scared out of your mind to out-evolve your partner, lean in. You might be surprised. The right people stay. They really, truly do. You can never say the right thing to the wrong person, though. And again, in truth, the woman you become might lose everything, but that everything was never meant for you, because it wasn't the you that you were ultimately expanded into, that wasn't the true you, that wasn't the authentic you. Maybe it was the version of you that you needed to be to have that at the time. So keep going, lean in, follow that dream. I deeply believe that if you have the dream, it is meant for you. I'll see you next time here on Literally First Class.
I hope you enjoyed your flight, and I'll see you on board again soon.
Seriously though, thanks for listening. If you're ready to take this work deeper and upgrade your mind, I want to invite you to join us inside my Millionaire Mindset program. This is where you'll start using my guided meditations to help you overcome anxiety and experience even more abundance. When you join, you'll have access to my entire audio library. Head over to elevatewithkeri.com and we'll see you inside.